Hello, everyone. We are back. Eden Restored podcast.
Yeah, we are back at it like we never left. We're talking about tonight 5 myths that can mess up your sex life and marriage. Because some people are messed up. They start out the gate messed up because they have learned wrong, gotten wrong information from either their family of origin or the church.
Or the locker room.
We have gotten some bad information and we've brought myths into the bedroom as if they were truth. So what are those 5 myths? You're going to find out tonight. Listen, as always, we want to tell you what?
That this podcast is for seriously dating or married couples, and the information that we share on tonight is for informational purposes only.
And educational purposes. We want to help you to get better and to get back to being restored. That's what we want for your relationship. So listen, go invite some friends, subscribe, share, leave some comments. We're getting ready to get into it. So many myths that we heard growing up about sex that kind of follow us in adulthood. Growing up in the church, you never really heard about sex talked about. You'd see somebody show up with a bunch of clothing on, and it was some young girl that got pregnant, and there was a lot of whispering and murmuring, but nobody ever really talked about it. Then you didn't they told us what not to do,
Right.
but they didn't tell us what to do. Was there any other myths that you remember growing up with as a young person?
Well, as you mentioned, we may see the person come in with more weight around their stomach, and something that I heard but didn't believe was that, sex was for procreation. Only, and not, the recreational side of it when you're married.
And that masturbation was a sin, and that if you masturbated, you would go blind. Just so many false truths out there, but yet we want to debunk some of those tonight. So I want to go to scripture. Song of Songs is one of the most erotic literatures in the Bible. A lot of people say, well, the Bible doesn't talk about sex. There's plenty of scriptures that reference sex, and this is one of them. Song of Songs says in chapter 4, verse 7, "You are altogether beautiful, my love. There is no flaw in you." This man is so enamored with his wife. I believe it was his girlfriend at the time. He talks about how beautiful she is and there's no flaws in her. You can't have real intimacy built on fake beliefs. And I think a lot of people are being robbed in their relationship of true intimacy because of these misnomers that they have gotten through bad information, whether it's a family of origin, whether it's the church, or whether it's the locker room. So the goal for our listeners tonight is that we want to expose some of these common Christian myths around sex and replace them with truth and step into more freedom. Y'all want that tonight? How many of y'all want more freedom in your marriage? How many of y'all want to get back to what God intended? I need y'all to type in the chat, more freedom, more freedom. We want to give you that tonight. So baby, let's jump right into it. Today we're debunking 5 toxic sex myths about that many Christian couples have brought into their relationship. You talked about how you heard that it was only for procreation. Say a little bit more about that.
Well, just where, it was a bunch of don't do, and that, you only had sex to try to get pregnant, to have a child, and that it wasn't the romantic side of sexual fulfillment in a marriage that was not discussed as it was discussed on, you only having sex to have a baby.
One of the things that intrigued us about going to becoming board certified sexologists in the church is all of this miseducation and lack of information. Where there's a void of information, people make up stuff.
Absolutely. Right.
And unfortunately, some of us were relegated to locker room information as related to sex or to your girlfriends or to your guy friends because your mama didn't talk about it. Your daddy didn't talk about it. Your pastor didn't talk about it. And yet here we are, pastors and parents, and we've talked about it with our young men. We've talked about it with our couples at church, and we want to talk about it with you. So the point we want to make to you tonight is that the Bible is clear that intimacy was God's gift.
Right.
Intimacy and sex was God's gift to married couples for them to be able to enjoy one another. If God did not mean for us to enjoy sex, why do we have all these nerve endings in our skin? The largest sex organ in the body is what?
Is the brain.
It's the brain. And second to that, it's the skin.
The skin.
The whole body is a sex organ that God created for pleasure. It's pleasurable when your spouse touches you. It's pleasurable when they kiss you. God would not have invented that if he did not want us to enjoy it. And so over time, though, the myth creeps in and poisons what God meant for good. So the first myth we want to tackle tonight, y'all write this down in the chat, is spontaneous sex is better than planned sex. That's a myth. Spontaneous sex is better than planned sex. Now, I got to admit, then when I got married, babe, I thought we was going to do it every night. I said, I cannot wait to get married. We're going to have sex. We're going to be hot and bothered every time we see each other. Every time I walk in the house, my wife's going to jump my bones.
Really? That's the sound you gonna make?
It didn't pan out like, and the truth of the matter is, it didn't pan out that for me either, because I'm not always turned on. Stuff happens. You get stressed. You're tired. Life happens. Kids, bills, problems at work, stuff going crazy in the world. You're not always in the mindset. So I think what happens is that people confuse spontaneity with desire. It's not always going to be spontaneous.
No. You can't always think that, I don't want to say the word always, but it's not the time where there's going to be spontaneity is going to take place. And sometimes you have to plan for it. Just like you plan for a lot of things. You plan for date night. You plan for vacation. There may be seasons that you will have to plan for that intimacy and sex.
And planning does not kill passion.
No.
If we plan for a date night, or we plan for a romantic getaway, it gives you time to be intentional about how good it's going to be. I got my coconut oil. I got my feathers. I got my sexy outfit. I got my special cologne. I'm going to set up an ambiance. I'm going to get my playlist together. So sometimes planning actually adds more intentionality to it. And I think that's what we're really saying is the intentionality, because watch this, desire is contextual. The context has to be right for the desire to be fueled in the first place. So if you coming home to some crying kids and the sink is running over because the sink got stopped up, or the toilet is overflowing, or the kids done broke something, you're not feeling very sexy.
No.
Right?
No.
But if we're intentional about Friday's going to be our date night, we got a babysitter for our bad kids, we're going out to a wonderful, sexy restaurant, you got on a beautiful dress, chances are with the intentionality behind that, sex is going to be better.
Yes.
And so spontaneity is a good thing. There's sometimes when you come and jump my bones and you're like, boy, come here. I've been there trying to study, and here you come walking in with your birthday suit on trying to distract me. And I'll be like, stop.
Wait a minute.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Wait a minute.
While there's no one size fits all, many couples average in the U.S. Y'all ready for this? How often do y'all think the average U.S. couple has sex? Drum roll. Once a week. 56 times a year. Wow. Once a week.
Yeah.
Woo. I'm glad God has blessed me with a wife that wants to do it more than once a week.
And once a week, we've counseled some couples in the past that wasn't even a priority, where it's been weeks or even months. Yeah.
I just saw a TikTok where this man said, I provide for my wife, I pay the bills, I give her a new car every year, and she hasn't given me sex in 5 years. I'm like, the devil is a lie.
Then there needs to be some excavation as to what's really going on.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Having sex once a week is often associated with higher relationship satisfaction. though more frequent doesn't always linearly increase satisfaction. Maybe you're waiting for spontaneous and missing out on intimacy you could plan. I know some people with their work schedules, it's challenging. With small children, it's challenging. Maybe one of y'all are in school seeking another degree, it's challenging. So planning becomes essential so that you make an effort to connect.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is making that effort, planning for the effort. Life is still going to happen, but making sure that you're planning for it, that they're like we're saying, the intentionality behind it is there.
So y'all type it in the chat. I'm going to plan my closeness. I'm going to plan my closeness. How many of y'all make appointments for your beauty shop? How many of y'all make appointments for your barbershop? How many make appointments for your car to get maintenance? Then why can you not schedule your intimacy? It's just, if not more important than all those things I just mentioned. Myth number 2 is what, babe?
Myth number 2 is that men want sex more than women.
What do you think? Is that true or is that a myth?
I think it's a myth. And it really depends on the individual. There are some women that I've counseled in the past that have a higher libido than their husbands, and vice versa. There are some men who have a higher libido than their wives, and so that is a myth.
And I think it is a big myth, and we've gotten stereotyped into that. And the problem is that life fluctuates, especially the older you get. Our bodies change. Women go through menopause, men go through menopause. Our testosterone starts to become depleted. That messes with our arousal, it messes with our erection, it messes with our weight, it messes with our thought process, our sleeping patterns. So men go through stuff too, and it affects our desire. And then women go through menopause.
And with all those same reasons that you just explained, menopause, that's what women go through. And it's not something, unfortunately, that is a stopping point. As when we begin to age, we have to learn how to navigate those different health challenges that we may be facing.
And I think communication is the key. Because I can see. I remember when my testosterone dipped, and you felt like, "What's going on? You don't desire me anymore." It wasn't that. I had no desire, because I had to go to my doctor and be like, "What's going on with me?" Find out my testosterone dipped to like 200, and the normal healthy rate is around 700 to 1,000. And so when I got my testosterone supplements, we came right back to where we needed to be. And then you had to go get some estrogen supplements at one point to help you, right?
Yes, and it's all about knowing your body and making sure that you're keeping up with those health appointments, and also discussing not only with your spouse but also with your doctor.
So let me ask you this. What if your spouse doesn't always want it more, but the myth is making you believe they're broken or you're broken? What do you do with that?
Well, one, you said communication. I think by communicating with your spouse, like, I'm really trying to keep up, but you may be saying that, I may not be into it, or it's like we're going through the motions just for the sake of, ticking something off on a to-do list. I think that gives an opportunity for those honest and hard conversations, so that one person or the other or both are not feeling like they're trying to perform and acting with something that the other spouse is not really desiring.
Because the danger is believing the false narrative that because they don't have the desire, they don't want me, or because they don't have the desire, they must be cheating on me. And that sets up an opportunity for the enemy to come in. And you're like, well, if they don't want me, I'll just go over here to such and such. And that's the danger when you're not communicating. Like, I've noticed that there's a break in our pattern. I noticed that we haven't done it in a while. I noticed that we haven't connected in a while. What's going on with you? And then that gives that spouse an opportunity to say, well, let me tell you, I've been feeling really tired. I've been really fatigued. Well, baby, have you gone to the doctor? You want me to go to the doctor with you? And so those become life-changing conversations if we're honest enough to share our hearts and share what we're going through. So I want y'all to type in the chat. Sex is for both of us.
Yeah.
Intimacy is for both of us, right? The man and the woman. It's not sexual drive is not unique to the gender. As my wife said at the top of the conversation, sometimes women have higher libidos or higher desire than the men.
Right.
But it doesn't make you deficient, just makes you different.
Right.
And you have to learn how to navigate that. Let's go to myth number 3. Myth number 3 is good Christians don't talk about sex. That's why I don't watch Pastor Spencer and his wife, because good Christians don't talk about that nasty stuff. Why they talking about? I've heard people say that, why are they talking about that? Why not? God meant for us to be naked and without shame. But yet, throughout, I think the puritanistic influence of Western Christianity, the hypocrisy of Western Christianity is this. We talk about a moral purity that was not practiced, especially during the institution of slavery. So they came and threw clothes on us and chains on our wrists, but then took our women behind the woodshed and took them by force. That's the hypocrisy of Western Christianity. I think the reality is that we can bring all of who we are to Jesus Christ, and the Bible tells us that the marriage bed is undefiled, meaning that God means for a husband and wife to connect in meaningful ways through sex. It is not taboo for us to be on here having a conversation with grown Christians about intimacy when God created that intimacy as a gift.
I agree. And sex is marriage is multifaceted, but we are discussing one very important part of the marriage bed, and that just so happens to be intimacy in the way of sex. I think a lot of times that many couples may not feel comfortable talking about intimacy and sex is because they have some shame associated with it, with something that they may not have discussed with their partners, or they don't know how to discuss something with their partners, or they don't have the language to discuss it with their partners. And a lot of that comes through maturity and being able to have that transparency in your marriage where you can talk about everything and anything.
I think at some point in our marriage, we hit a stride where we started talking about what we wanted. And so I think on the previous episode, we talked about how for years you had to kind of fake the orgasm just because you wanted to, you didn't want to hurt my feelings, and you just thought that's what a woman was supposed to do, just fake it till she can make it. But when we finally start talking about orgasm and talking about pleasing each other, our sex life improved. It's been statistically proven that most couples only know about 62% of what it takes to please their spouse, and only 26% of what displeases them. The only way I can know how to please you is you tell me, right? And I think that's where communication about sex is important for Christian couples. Talk about what you want.
Yeah.
It's not taboo. It's not anti-Christian to say, I like it when you kiss me here. I like it when you touch me here. I think that's good information to share with your spouse. What about you?
I agree. Healthy couples openly talk about their intimate, what they want within their marriage, and and it's all within those loving boundaries that you have with your spouse.
If we never talk about it, how am I supposed to know?
Right, because I'm not walking around with the teleprompter on my head that says, no, I don't like this, or yes, I like this, or I wish he would do more of this, or I wish he wouldn't do, X, Y, Z. It's through those consistent conversations that we have, those transparent conversations that we have, where you can only learn that.
If God made it, we can talk about it. Somebody type in the chat, we can talk about it. Let's talk about it. You are grown. You can still love Jesus and still be able to talk to your spouse and to other mature couples about sex. And that leads me, when you talked about the teleprompter across your head, that leads me to the myth number 4.
Okay.
If you love me, you'll just know what I want. You should know by now. We've been together this long. You should know. What's wrong with that statement?
There's a lot of things wrong with that statement. Just to unpack it, there may have been a repeat of something that has been constantly said, and one spouse is probably frustrated because they're constantly repeating said whatever this is, and so it may come out like, you should know by now. But then the other end of it is, we may assume that our spouse knows what we like and what we don't like without really verbalizing to them what we like and what we don't like.
You know what's crazy? That junk changes over time.
Yes.
Because what you liked last year, you may not like this year. What you liked when we first got married may have changed now that
Definitely.
you are in your mid-50s.
Yes.
So as we evolve in our relationships and in life, that communication, watch this. How many of y'all get updates on your phone? You get updates on your phone?
Oh, yes, all the time.
You got in my car the other day, said, babe, how did you change the display on your panoramic view on your car? I said, I got an update on my computer, on my car, and it changed it for me. Watch this. How many of y'all have updated your sex life? How many of y'all have updated your intimacy? Because what used to move me don't move me anymore. And you still sitting there laying there pretending like a dead fish, like it's doing something, it's not doing anything, because your pleasure map has changed. And so you got to be able to download into your spouse and say, let's try something new. Let's try, kiss me over here, touch me right there, go slower, do this, because I have evolved. We all evolve, and it requires us to continue to download with our spouse.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a continual thing. As you said about, the phone, I believe it may be an update that comes out probably every 3 months on the phone. And so there's a button that says, do you want to update it? So that could be an open-ended question to your spouse, like, okay, well, every month, let's have a conversation on that. We'll talk about our sexy time. What works and what doesn't work.
Clarity is sexier than confusion. What do you think about that? Clarity is sexier than confusion.
I would agree. Being clear on something, as opposed to, you said clarity is sexier than confusion. Confusion is not sexy. So, but being clear on something could lead to it being sexy, especially when we're talking about intimacy and sex. But just having the clarity around it really helps to shed a new light on things.
And here's a double entendre, no pun intended, but closed mouths don't get fed.
That's true. You must starve.
You're starved. You're starved from affection. You're starved from pleasure. You're starved from what you really like, because you're not courageous enough to say, that's not it anymore. This is it. This is what I want.
And you know what? It's a way of saying it to you.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt your spouse's feelings by like, stop. No, not right there.
Oh, that's so true.
So you want to be able to lovingly, because you may not know that, hey, you used to kiss me on my left side of my neck, and now it's irritating that you kiss me on my left side, and that's your spot. That I like. So now I want you to try kiss me on my right side.
How would you say that?
I would lovingly redirect you.
How?
If you're kissing me on my left side of my neck, I'm like, baby, don't leave my neck out. Get my right side too.
I like the feedback you gave me last night. Maybe it was this morning. This morning, you was like, when you put your fingers on my hips, it felt so sensual. Keep doing that. And my male ego was like, for real? Okay. And that positive feedback, watch this. If you want people to repeat something, reinforce good behavior. I think the adverse is also true. If you're like, I don't like when you touch me like that, and then it kind of makes me like, well, I don't want to touch you at all. But when you said that was so central, that touch, I'm like filing that in my head, like, keep that one going, buddy. That's working. So I like the way you positively reinforce what you want. Clarity is sexier than confusion. Closed mouths don't get fed. Baby, what's myth number 5?
Myth number 5 is that we have to make sure. Oh my gosh, my
Sex
eyes.
is only about physical release.
Yeah.
Sex is only about physical release. That is a myth. Sex is not just about penetration. Sex is not just about physical release. This myth reduces intimacy to mechanics, ignoring emotional and spiritual dimensions. The truth is, sex is spiritual, it's emotional, it's sacred, it's covenantal, right? So, what would you say to a couple that says that it's only about physical release?
Just like you said, it's that covenant. It's about you having that connection, not where it's I think we used to say something about, maybe we heard years ago, a man needs to, or a boy needs to release XYZ every so many days, and that, to a degree, that is true. But remember when probably in the locker room they would talk about, what is it, blue balls or whatever. You can't, you gotta have a release, but if not, then
Every 72 hours.
yeah. So that build up. So you've got to be able to find that closeness, so that you're not in that predicament where you're saying, it's been 72 hours, or it's been a week and I'm backed up.
But there is some truth. There's some biological truth behind that thought, because the more frequent you have sex, the better your prostate health can be. It's been proven that there's a decrease in the chance of a man getting prostate cancer when he has a healthy sex life. So there is some truth to the balance of how we release, but intimacy is more than release.
Right.
It's about connection. It's about bonding. It's about, like we said in the last episode, that there's some therapy behind touch. And so for us, sex is more than about physical release, but that's part of it. As a matter of fact, I teach men in some of our classes about semen retention. How, you want to practice getting right to release, but cutting it off to save on your semen retention, which also helps with your health. So it's not always about release. And you don't always, watch this, you don't always have to release to have an orgasm.
No.
Sometimes an orgasm is a body orgasm. It's not just ejaculation and orgasm are two separate things. And sometimes they can happen simultaneously, but you don't always have to have a release to have an orgasm. Does that make sense?
Yes, it really does make sense. But then I'm thinking too that the beautiful ceremony of sex is a moment. It's not, and it's a sacred moment that's shared, between husband and wife, and we need to really cherish those moments, and when you can, have as many moments as you possibly can, but when you can't, discuss future moments.
And it's not just a moment, baby, it's a ministry. You are my ministry. You know what I'm saying? I need you to come serve me. I need to serve you. Jesus said, the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. And I think it's important that we serve each other in the context of our bedroom.
Yes.
We got to take turns making sure that the other is pleased.
Yeah.
And there's a book I love that we read before. It's called make sure she gets hers 1st, meaning that it takes a woman a lot longer to reach orgasm than it does a man. And so with that being said, women need about 40 minutes to warm up prior to the act. And so that's a ministry. It's a ministry to be so in tune emotionally with your spouse that you sense, okay, you need to be relaxed. You got a lot on your head right now. You got a lot of stuff on your list. Let me take some stuff off your list. Ministry, real intimacy starts in the bedroom. In the kitchen. So I might have to load some dishwasher. I might have to take the trash out. I might have to put the kids in the bed. Ministry, let me serve you so that our intimacy can go next level. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
And how does the wife minister to the husband?
Well, the wife ministers to the husband, one, on really knowing what your husband's love language is. Because there are times that we may inadvertently give our spouse or treat our spouse the love language that we so desire. So if it's acts of service, do the acts of service. If it's physical touch, make sure it's physical touch, affirmation, whichever the one, but make sure that you're ministering to your spouse in the way that your spouse can receive it.
That's good. Yeah. That's so good. Listen, you can't build real intimacy off of fake beliefs. And some of us have to unlearn what our parents said or didn't say. Some of us have to unlearn what we learned in the locker rooms. And watch this, some of us got to unlearn what we heard in church. Because believe it or not, God created intimacy. He created male and female for this reason, to leave their mother and father, cleave to their spouse, and become one. And the Bible says in Genesis 2:25, and he created them male and female, and they were both what? Naked and without shame. So tonight, I hope that this has helped you out with the myths, in with the truth. We want to liberate you to walk in the freedom that God wants for you. We want you to get back to Eden restored. Get back to your own personal garden. Make your bedroom your playroom. Go back and have fun again. Fall in love again. Go and make mad, passionate love. Let the neighbors know your name. Have some fun, play some games, and rediscover what God meant for you. So that's it for tonight. But listen, we want to remind you that we got the Boo Bash coming up this weekend. Yes. This Sunday night, we got the Boo Bash. It's the monster. You remember the Monster Mash? The Monster Mash. This is the Boo Bash. Anyway, my wife acts like she don't know my song. So the kids are not the only people that get to have fun during Halloween. We're going to take this and we're going to elevate it, and we want to have a costume party for grown folk. What are we dressing up as? Your favorite TV character and your favorite movie character. What were you going to say?
Oh, and I was just going to say it's going to be on October the 26th at 6:30 at Soul Cafe. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite. The cost of the tickets are $25 per couple.
What? $25 per couple? That's nothing. When we got dessert, we're going to have games. We're going to have prizes. Whoever has the best costume gets a prize. And Rhonda and I are going to be teaching you, watch this, how to have more tricks and treats in your bedroom. Somebody type in the chat, trick or treat, trick or treat. I want both of them. I want all the tricks. I want all of the treats. And we're going to have them for you. So you need to bring your bag. Bring your bag with you, because we're going to put some stuff in your bag, some tricks and some treats for you to go back home and have a good time. All right? Listen, what else you want to tell them about Eden Circle?
Now, just as we said, you may have to plan, to have, that intimacy. You also need to plan to be with other couples to get the encouragement you need, but plan on a regular basis. And we have this wonderful program called Eden Circle. So if you want to learn more from couples, learn more from Stacey and I, we have meetups. We do seminars together. We have a great time together as learning married couples. Go to theedencircle.com to learn more.
Amen. Listen, do us a favor. If this helped you tonight, like, share, subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 couples before the end of the year. Subscribe. We're at around 700 right now.
Okay.
We need about 300 more couples. So do me a favor. Copy and paste this link. Send it to your friends. Say, girl, you need to check this out. Say, man, this man and woman talking about some stuff. And we are. Some stuff that's going to revolutionize your intimacy in your marriage. We appreciate y'all being on tonight. Listen, we want you to continue to love on each other and build the marriage that God meant for you to have. All right? We love you, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.